We are at Midtown Tennis for the 40th anniversary celebration, and we're with Pam Shriver, who before she was a TV analyst was a tennis player of some note. Yes?
Yeah.
You remember that far back?
Yeah, I played 20 years on the tour and practiced for a lot of matches here in Chicago, here at the Midtown Tennis Club.
Are you like me, a little surprised that Chicago isn't a regular stop for either the men or the women?
Well, if you told me that back in the 80s that it wouldn't be, I'd be very surprised because it was such a staple, really, of our indoor season on the Virginia Slims Tour. And the men's event, I don't feel it was ever quite, during my era, wasn't quite as established and as big a deal as the women's event.
Right.
But they still had a men's event, and I wouldn't have believed it except for sort of following the politics and seeing how tennis migrated offshore from the U.S.
Okay.
And then also Cincinnati is sort of seen as the Midwest's.
That's the big tournament.
Yeah, that's kind of like the regional huge event for the Midwest, so that obviously includes Chicago.
And people in Chicago go,
Cincinnati? I know, but you know, it sort of takes that certain bit of timing and just things coming together. It's sort of like you wouldn't expect, you know, why did Wimbledon get it, you know, instead of like downtown London?
Right.
Or why did it end up in Queens? I don't know. You could probably say that about a few things, but.
Now the state of American tennis nowadays. You
know, it's hopeful, and somebody here tonight, Patrick McEnroe, has such a big hand in the future of U.S. tennis as head of the player development program. It's been a lean few years of developing top talent.
Right.
I think women's tennis, very fortunate that Williams sisters are having a career of longevity. That's been vital. And I think Andy Roddick has represented U.S. men's tennis so well. And it's just, we don't, it's hard to see when the next great champion in the U.S. Nobody's still talking about male or female. Right. I mean, they're talking about a lot of good players, Query, Isner, you know, on the women's side. It's actually, I think, a little bit leaner than even the men's.
Now, is that a function of the globalization of the sport?
Excuse me. I think a lot of it has to do with that. You know, countries where tennis is developing. In Asia, there really weren't a lot of players 20, 30 years ago. You know, a country like Yugoslavia, now broken up into 3 or 4 different countries, has, you know, pretty strong representation. It is certainly more spread out than it ever used to be. It's not just the Grand Slam nations that are making up over half the draws in the majors. Now it's like, you know, you get 30, 40 countries represented. But at the same time, you got to still look at what is the U.S. not doing well enough.
Right.
And nobody, if anybody could have the answer, they would have solved it. I think a lot of it is coincidental. I think some of it is developmental. We haven't had the right programs. We haven't had enough athletes come in. I think culturally, the U.S. in general, I don't think the population's as hungry as some of the other parts of the world that are developing. I think it's just sort of look at golf, look at other sports. So anyway, I think it's a lot of things, but hopefully it'll change soon.
Now, for those of us hoping for a Pam Shriver comeback, we see Kamiko Date, you know, after taking a bit of time off. It's about ready for you.
You know, it's funny seeing Date, somebody who I played against 15, 16, 17 years ago. I retired. I played my last match in 1997. See her back and doing pretty well. It's pretty astounding at close to 40. But I think Martina Navratilova, who won a U.S. Open title at 50, and to sort of see the way you can stay fit for a long time shows that with a special, unique athlete can happen. But I am not that special, unique athlete.
You know, we need to get some sort of grassroots program here to get you out of the broadcast booth back onto the court.
Well, I have a couple of thoughts. Now that I have 3 kids, a 5, and a 6-year-old, and I've had fun introducing them to tennis and introducing the concept of having good hand-eye coordination. And I actually have an interest in developing some programs for young kids to have a better foundation for hand-eye coordination at a young age. So we'll see where that goes. My kids are now in school more full-time, and the first time I'm looking on the horizon of maybe having a little bit of time.
You're not looking to send them to Florida to tennis school
No,
quite yet?
definitely not. 20 minutes away is far enough to swim.
Very good. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Elliott.